Hello everyone, DEDKAF is on the line. As you already know, the new trailer for the long-awaited DLC Cost of Hope for Stalker 2 has come out. Today we will not just look at pictures, but will in detail take apart every frame and dive deep into the smallest details of this expansion. The trailer opens with gloomy frames of flooded sectors and the OSG of the Iron Forest, after which sounds an extremely intriguing phrase. We found a whole city that shouldn't even exist. The Iron Forest itself impresses. It is visible that the region was seriously reworked, and now it fully corresponds to the concepts from the official artbooks and the almanac. In the distance we see a new electrical anomaly directly connected with the ideas of the developers on livening up the environment. In the region dwells a wandering electrical fog which feeds from power lines. Besides that, here there are aggressive anomalies from electrical wires which behave like magnetic snakes. They can entwine, squeeze and strike the player with current. Also there meet mirages in the form of dancing sculptures with snake motifs. An interesting detail, in the Iron Forest there are the exact same antennas as at the Brain Scorcher. What does this mean? First, this might directly connect the DLC to the quest from patch 1.9. Whoever hasn't seen my detailed breakdown, I highly recommend it for viewing. Perhaps I was mistaken when I assumed that Lukash is gathering an army of zombified for a march into the Iron Forest. It seems he, on the contrary, is trying to create a device that will protect his sanity during the exploration of the new region. Second, and more probable, they will finally explain to us in detail how exactly the Scorcher managed to so effectively not let stalkers to the center of the zone, and will show that in this network worked additional antennas, exactly those that lit up in the trailer in the new region. By the way, on the frames with the Iron Forest, one can notice a new feature. Now scuffs are displayed on the arm, showing the durability of the suit. Plus, a new sight lit up, which hints at a general rework of attachments for weapons. Well, and attention, someone again fucking stole the virus from the power lines. Classic. Further, they demonstrate to us creepy and atmospheric fragments from the region Leman. Right there we see Scientific Institute radio wave. This object will become one of the main intermediate goals in the beginning of the expansion's plot. And right here is the most interesting thing. On the upper floors of the radio wave we meet who? The founder of duty, General Tachenko, or nevertheless Voronin. Write your crazy theories in the comments. Personally, I think that this is Tachenko without a helmet. Judging by the first trailer, exactly he will be choking Skiv, and the developers intentionally hid his face in this video to confuse us. For now it is difficult to say exactly how Lemansk itself will be realized. I strongly hope that this will be a transition to a separate game level where developers will create a huge reconstructable labyrinth city. After all, from the description in the almanac, we know that Lemansk in the usual sense no longer exists. It was swallowed by a special anomaly that distorts reality and only projects an illusion of the city. And now let's make a lyrical digression from the plot and burrow into pixels and polygons. Let's move on to the breakdown of the graphics. To be honest, there are questions to the trees and vegetation, especially to the twigs on the new models of trees. There are no shadows from the grass. In general, one shouldn't wait for a global graphical breakthrough with the engine update. They will most likely deliver us optimization, fix bugs with Leman and significantly increase the draw distance, because right now, as you see by the trailer, the disaster with LOD is still in place. The vegetation in the next scene was cut altogether. The lighting in the caves still doesn't look perfect. A separate question is raised by the anomaly with light bulbs. Interesting, for such a huge amount of lighting sources, will they use the mega lights feature from the new engine versions, or is this simply a pre-directed switching of light? If the trailer was shot on Unreal Engine 5.5.4, then it seems they put a bolt on new technologies like mega lights, because in a scene with a pile of light bulbs there should also be a sea of light on the floor. Reflections in puddles, as they were, let's say, straight shit, so they remained in many other games, reflection in puddles works better. But there are also pluses. They improved the resolution of the reflections. Judging by the structure, this is still software Leman and not hardware Leman. By the shading, it is also visible that classic SSAO is used, and not short-range AO. But on the other hand, a solid work of SSR and luxurious work with materials is visibly seen. And the poly count in this scene is just hardcore. How Nanit fucking rocks. A small advertising pause. Recently I acquired for myself a disc PlayStation 5 and I'm already preparing a review of Stalker 2 on it and also one more large secret breakdown. Unfortunately I didn't have enough for the Pro yet, but if you want to support the release of videos on the channel, I got a sponsorship. I will be very glad for your support. Further, the camera shows a view of the CNPP sarcophagus from the window of an abandoned premise. We are working from the side of the old generators. In Skif's hands is a unique variant of the M800 60 Cracker shotgun with a silencer. In the frame one can also notice that in the distance flashes a menu from Clear Sky. It turns out very interesting. We already have an implemented interface from SoKey and now they will deliver one from CS2. As was known from the past trailer and various fragments, Mavka and Zulu are working together, despite the enmity of their factions. Here flash a couple of interesting moments. Many thought that Mavka's earring is cannabis, but no. It is the classic stylized logo of Kiev, a chestnut leaf. The chestnut is the main botanical and cultural symbol of the capital. Judging further by the trailer, Mavka, according to the plot, acquires some green decoration in the form of a bracelet on the arm. This might turn out to be an artifact. Earlier, a similar decoration in the form of an earring was planned for Agata. Then we see Zulu's unique AK and Mavka's unique HKG3 with a new optical sight which already lit up in the almanac. As for the cooperation of Mavka and Zulu itself, thanks to the files from patch 1.4, we know that they will work together at the beginning of the DLC's plot. Then we will have to make a choice twice between them and accordingly, the sides of the conflict of duty and freedom. But I will not delve into deep spoilers in this video. A bit later they showed us a new anomaly in the outskirts of the old generators at the CNPP, and these are indeed really ruined generators. Here exactly on the screenshot is the angle towards the ET building. Earlier they already managed to tease this anomaly on the cans of the new limited energy drink Non-Stop Stalker Red, which can already be bought in stores. Even earlier it flashed in the interactive almanac. Most likely this anomaly will appear at a certain plot moment and will serve as a peculiar replacement for the build arch anomaly Spider's Paws. Visually this is very similar to a direct glow and a hidden breach of the noosphere into the material world. By the way, even a long time ago there were insights going around that in the DLC will appear some 3 devouring FPS. No. I hope that they worked on the optimization of the new anomaly. With the next frame they show a certain destroyed building, presumably in Limansk, where objects are turned upside down. Then we see Limansk itself with the yard familiar to us. And higher is visible the inscription Radio Wave. A very strange inscription. The design is absolutely identical to the Malachite signboard. I like that the embryo not only changes reality around, but also Ukrainianizes it. In Skif's hands is an Askayas, which was teased when Tachenko was choking Skif in the past trailer. Further, they show additional frames of the fight with the new mutant, the Cadaver. Scenes with the new DLC character Mavka. GSC again slapped faces with the most detailed faces among games with an open world. They showed us Laboratory X19 Section C, which means, logically, there will also be sections A and B. An anomalous field with a multitude of light bulbs is visible. Judging by the detector, there we will be able to find some artifact. Many might think that this is a new arch anomaly, but this is not so, since arch artifacts are not displayed on detectors. They showed Laboratory X12 are the lower levels of X18. It is difficult to say for sure. Around it is as if everything is frozen, either ultraviolet highlights blood like that, or this is generally a new chemical anomaly, as my colleague Rudic assumed. My assumption that this is X18 or the new X12LV is based only on the card from the almanac. The picture is taken from the concept of X12V, but on the card itself is written X18. Also, a new lighting element will appear in the game glow sticks. The next frame shows us some memories similar to how it was with Strider. In the memory figure 2 duty members without patches, I assume that the place of events is Limansk, and we see Tachenko with one of the members of his group. At the same time, they do not notice Skiff himself, as if he is just a ghostly observer. And here is one more detail. At this moment in Skiff's hands is located that very unique rifle of Mavka. Naturally, for now it is completely unknown for what such merits he received it. Further, they brought back Bolshak, a character from the official gameplay trailer of 2021, or more precisely, already Chief. Most likely, he will know the road no longer to the Foundation, but to the place that Mavka and Skiff are looking for. Bolshak also changed his location. Now he is in some bunker, maybe on Yantar, and maybe in the outskirts of Yanov. The answer: this is exactly Bolshak, whom Skiff asks for the road in the trailer. They didn't so much abandon this character in their time, they didn't even plan him in the plot, and the model was made by a third-party studio by order of GSC. Banzai has the same costume model as Bolshak, but with a cloak and glasses. Both hum melodies under their breath and have a perky character. In the current case, from the changes only the face. Judging by the subtitles, one of the characters of the expansion will become Suslov, a trader of Clear Sky and a former member of Sea Consciousness and possibly MDST, a setup right away for the second expansion. Suslov's words from the trailer: Mavka helped me to see poison can be medicine. I already thought that today is my last day in the zone. In February of this year, it became known that the Ukrainian voice actor Anatoly Bogush took part in the work on the DLC for Stalker 2, exactly. He in his time voiced Suslov in Clear Sky. Also back in the large February breakdown, I mentioned that someone from the Clear Sky faction might return. Further, an unknown laboratory with a bloodsucker is visible. And fuck yes, a pile of new animations will be added in the DLC, even for mutants. The bloodsucker is joyously devouring its victim, and the invisibility shader of bloodsuckers was also changed. Now there is a more dense distortion of objects. Then a scene with a monorail leading in an unknown direction. Then, by all appearances, an excerpt of the playthrough for the duty faction is shown. In one of the moments, Zulu shakes our hand. Probably near the CNPP there will be a small duty base under his leadership, and exactly near the ruined generators. On the left, standing at attention, are soldiers, and here is one very interesting detail. One of them is Roosevelt, a commander of duty who for misdeeds in the past was exiled to lead one of the factions of bandits through whom duty secretly leads a war for the garbage. We meet Roosevelt along the main plot during the quest King of the Hill. It turns out very cool. Since the events of the DLC happen later, then if we leave him alive in the plot, we again will be able to meet him, but already not on the cordon or the garbage, but in the full-fledged ranks of duty. Here Zulu with fucking beatings accelerates the wagon. Easter egg. A certain archive in Limansk. On the left a brochure is lying around, it lies way too well, as if it can be picked up. Just an assumption. Further, an unknown scanner with an EW antenna. The scanner probably will be portable, and we for some reason are installing it on a hill as if we will be covering a certain zone. Where else without a spoon of copium? The number 08171 on it might tease the release date of the expansion. Like 08 August, the 17th date, 1 the first DLC. Further, a shootout with bandits in some unknown archive. Very likely that it is under the destroyed Sirkia, which they demonstrated to us in the past trailer. A frame with an acid poltergeist with a new effect and a path, presumably into X19. Skiff will visit laboratory X16 together with Zulu. In the fragment we see how boxes are flying at us and a multitude of lightnings pass through the wires. As a variant, they showed us more moments for duty, and if one chooses the side of freedom, we will go into the laboratory with a different character. And for those who didn't understand, Skiff falls from the upper levels to the very bottom of the laboratory at the end of the trailer. The rumors that the DLC was supposed to come out in May turned out to be not just rumors, and a delay did happen after all. People started receiving a mailing to their email with the early planned release date of the DLC, May 20. On the site of Stalker 2 came out a separate article about the DLC Cost of Hope. They drained the African pools, and the info on the DLC promised yesterday by Mollet saw the light. Out of the new, we learn approximately 0% since a lot of things were mentioned in the almanac and in other sources. The exact release date is for now unknown, but the release is still planned for the summer of the year 2026. I am very strongly expecting the release of this expansion. The trailer is a bomb, but to be honest, it looks like it was cobbled together in a hurry simply for the sake of calming down the community. After all, they still didn't show us a pile of everything. They totally didn't highlight the events from the side of the Freedom faction, and we also didn't see mercenaries in the frame. The only moment which personally to me very much displeased is the chance for a delay of the expansion. Fuck, open already the pre-order and give a clear release date. But lastly, I have one more huge question for the studio. GSC, and where damn is the Ukrainian dubbing of the trailer? Was it really that hard to make a voiceover for us, your very own most active players, who in the main must promote the game? I didn't understand this move even since the last trailer. Write in the comments what you think regarding the absence of the dubbing and whether you believe in a release this summer. And with you was DEDKAF. See you in the zone.